Blind Citizens Australia proudly presents the Entrepreneurial Mindset Webinar Series. Brought to you in partnership with Vision Australia. Webinar 6, Value Adding to Your Business and Knowing Your Niche. We acknowledge the traditional owners of the lands on which we are all meeting from today, and pay our respect to elders past, present and emerging.
I would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the tangata whenua and the Boomerang people on the land that I am talking to you from today. I also acknowledge the traditional custodians on the lands on which each of you are living, loving, learning and working from today. As we share our knowledge and our virtual space, may we also pay respects to elders past, present and emerging, and to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people of Australia, and hope that the path towards reconciliation continues to be shared and embraced. My name is Deb Deshays. I'm a General Manager at Blind Citizens Australia, and again, welcome. This is our sixth and our final webinar in the BCA, the Entrepreneurial Mindset Webinar Series, delivered in partnership with Vision Australia. If you've happened to miss any of our previous webinars, recording can be accessed via the An Eye for Business page on the Blind Citizens Australia and Eye to the Future website. Finally, for those present, we have a very special offer from Small Business Australia for any current small business owners in attendance this evening. Please stay tuned at the end of the webinar for more details. I would now like to hand over to Robyn to begin our panel discussion. Thank you, Robyn.
Thanks, Deb, and thank you everybody for joining us today and online as well. I'll just talk a little bit about myself briefly, just so that you know who I am, and then we'll hear from each of our panellists. We'll get an introduction from them about themselves and their business. And then I've got a range of questions to take our panellists through on the area of adding value and finding your niche or knowing your niche in business. Just very quickly about me, Robyn McKenzie. I am a former executive officer of BCA back in 2007 through to 2012. And then I've worked in a range of management roles. And currently I'm studying a graduate certificate in career development practice, which is what used to be called career counselling. And what I'm studying in that course is how to become a career counsellor. And my ultimate goal will be to run my own business as a career counsellor and coach once I graduate next year. So I've been doing a little bit of a placement, some student placement hours with BCA as part of this entrepreneurial mindset program, and have really enjoyed working with the team at BCA to get these webinars happening on the entrepreneurial mindset, and also to get the podcast series happening as well. So I hope you've been partaking in the podcast episodes as well, because I think in total we've got around about 12, and you can access them on the BCA website. So that's a little bit about me. Today we're going to hear from Ross McGregor, who is a business owner who is blind, and then we'll hear from Kristine Bell. But first, Ross, can you just introduce yourself to our audience? Tell us a little bit about yourself and about your business.
Yeah, thanks very much. Good evening, everyone. I went blind at the age of 8, which led me to music, because at that stage in the blind school at Wahroonga in Sydney, everybody did music. So I started there on the piano, and after leaving school, I worked as a professional musician, playing solo gigs and also in a band. I had a trio. I decided that I'd like to get into recording music, because I'd like to work in the background of music rather than necessarily being on stage. So I opened a recording studio in 1975 in Sydney. I had that for 25 years. And when I sold it in 2000, it was the longest running independently owned studio in Sydney. And in that time, I did a lot of, I suppose you'd call it audio work rather than necessarily music work. So I did a lot of audio recording, and that could include recording spoken word, tapes or teaching tapes or language tapes, recording tapes or messages to use on telephone systems, message on hold, as well as music. And I did a whole range of music. I did about 300 albums in the time I was there, and that was just about every music style you can imagine, and also a lot of ethnic music, a lot of Macedonian, Syrian music, Polynesian, quite a whole range, Italian people, Greek people, quite a range of stuff. So Sydney's a fairly cosmopolitan city, so so I had a whole range of stuff there. So did that for 25 years, and then in 2000 I sold the studio, moved out of Sydney, and I now have a what they call a project studio, which is basically using a computer. In the old studio, I used to have a big tape recorder and a big mixing console, and that's what they call analog recording. But these days it's called digital. So I have a studio at home here, and I do songwriting and recording for people, and also play the piano at aged care homes around the area, and I play piano there and piano accordion for the folks there. So that's basically my history and what I'm doing today.
Thanks, Ross, and look forward to unpacking a little bit about how you organise your business and how you add value to the business that it is that you offer to your customers. But let's just hear a little bit from Kristine Bell. Kristine is the Director of SparkIt Insights and Strategy. Kristine, can you just tell us a little bit about yourself and your business?
Yes, of course. Thank you. So my name is Kristine Bell, Danish accent. I've been in this business or this area that I work in, which is customer strategy and research, for over 23 years. I started in big advertising as a strategist, writing creative briefs. I then moved into innovation and branding. And then finally, I worked in strategic market research, doing thousands of qualitative in-depth research interviews. That's one-on-one interviews, focus groups, workshops from around the world. And I spent 17 years in Australia now. And for the last 7 years, I've been working for myself. First, I started working with big business who have budgets for insights and customer strategy. But then COVID hit and the lockdown hit, and my business was quite literally shut down overnight for quite a long time. So that has been a bit of a rebuilding work. But what I really have a passion for, and I had more time for, is to help startups, small businesses, solopreneurs, really making sure that they understand who their target market is and what those needs are of their target market, and how they can best align their niche and their gifts and talents and superpower, their unique value proposition, with the customer needs. So we make sure it's aligned and unified. And if we can do that, we can make sure our offer and our marketing will engage our customers and will appeal to them and persuade them and stand out. So that's what I'm all about, helping. And I offer my clients, I work with them one-on-one, and I also do workshops. And what I do is I help them create one page of customer strategy, which is all about really aligning their unique skills with the customer's needs and wants in the areas of your product and service, your customer experience, your messaging, and also your brand, which is the key areas your customers will interact with your business. So that's what I'm all about. So thank you for having me tonight, and I hope I can add some value.
Thank you. And yes, we'll unpack that term, adding value, in a moment. And I'm really keen to talk to you a little bit more about superpower, which we'll talk about later on as well. I'm curious about that, and it's a great word that has a lot of emotion and imagination attached to it too.
Absolutely.
Ross, what is it that you offer that's different to other businesses? There are so many businesses that are similar to yours. What is it that you offer that's different to others?
Well, I think over this period of time, I've developed my own style of work, so my own style of playing the piano. I play the piano like Ross McGregor. But doesn't mean. But of course, there are hundreds of piano players in the world that are better than me, like say concert pianists and so on. But I don't worry about that. I don't focus on that. I just focus on what I can do and my style and my interpretation, and that's that's the thing that, you know, it will appeal to, or it does appeal to some people. The aged care homes I play in, I'm very popular there because of the style, my piano style, and because of the songs that I choose to play. I play for the audience. I don't play for myself. Sometimes you get musicians or performers who like to sort of play songs they like, but I tend to be very audience focused. So that's a part of what I do. That's a part of my uniqueness, I suppose, as well as my style of playing. And then the same thing with my recording and mixing and my songwriting. Well, I just write songs like Ross McGregor, or I mix like Ross McGregor. So that's my focus is very much on myself and my own feelings or creativity or interpretation, and that's what I've gained over, I suppose, 50 years of working in music. So I've come to this point, after all that time.
And so you sounds like you're quite in touch with what is your uniqueness and what Ross McGregor can offer. Have you always been that in touch, that in tune with what it is that is your uniqueness and what it is that you can offer?
No. When I started back in my 20s, I wanted to start the studio, and I was very driven to want to have a recording studio because I thought I could do it. I believed that I could learn it and do it. So I must have had a certain belief in my musical ability. I've always had very good ears. I can always hear things and work out chords and pitch and all the stuff very easily. So I had that when I was young. But at the time, a lot of people were saying, a blind person can't run a business and you couldn't run a studio and it's very competitive and all that sort of stuff. And I was very determined not to give in to that. I wanted to at least have a go at running it. I remember my first customer that came in the studio, he had a band, and he said, I suppose you've recorded bands like this before, have you? And I said, oh, yes. But I hadn't. Hadn't recorded anybody. But I knew I could do it, and I did the job for him, and he came back about 3 or 4 times, to get other work done. So back then, I didn't have that. I just had a drive to not want to give into this blindness limitation thing. I knew I could do it, and as I said, I was there for 25 years. But through the years, I got involved in other activities like meditation and things like that. And I think after a while, after 20 or 30 years, I started developing like a strong sense of self, I suppose, and that just came with experience.
And I would hazard a guess that maybe one of your uniqueness qualities is also a little bit of stubbornness, because when you mentioned that people were saying a blind bloke can't do that, that made you dig in and say, well, blow it, I'm going to show you, I'm going to prove you wrong. Would you say that that's one of your uniqueness qualities?
Well, I suppose it's unique. Yeah, I've even now, like in my early 70s, there are still things I want to achieve in music, and I just want to have a go at them. Like I want to put up music on the internet and see if I can get some success there, or get a following. But it's just something I want to do, and if it didn't work out, well, I'll say, oh, okay, well that didn't work, but at least have a go. I want to have a go at things, and I've got other things I want to work in. I want to do a bit of like motivational speaking, and I've got things there that I want to share with people, and I just want to have a go at it. And if it doesn't get anywhere, we'll say, oh, okay, well, it didn't work, or people didn't like my message, so that's that. But at least I had a go at it. I'd like to feel that I've had an attempt at things that I want to do, and then whether success comes or doesn't come, that's like a separate issue,
Yes. So you're exhibiting quite a few qualities of the entrepreneurial mindset that we've discussed throughout this series. And one of them that you're demonstrating now is that ability to be adaptable and to move with the times and move with technology, but also to be true to who you are, true to yourself.
Yeah, well, certainly in the music business, there's been very big technology. I suppose it's the same in a lot of businesses, but yeah, music has been a whole revolution. The things you can do now on a computer, you could never dream of doing back in the old tape recording days in Sydney and that. So, yeah, so it's just you have to be adaptable, and I don't know, you just have to. It's very hard to really pinpoint it, but you just have to sort of believe in yourself. You have to think, well, I want to have a go at this, and like I just want to have a go at it. If I succeed or don't succeed, like I say, that's another thing. But yeah, and it's just, I suppose it's believing in yourself, or I suppose it's yeah, it's very hard to quantify, I suppose, really what that quality is, you know.
It is, and maybe Kristine Bell can help us there. Kristine, you spoke earlier about getting in touch with our superpower, and it seems to me that that's very similar to Ross talking about being in touch with his uniqueness. Yes. Can you tell us a little bit about what you define as superpower and how you get in touch with it?
Yes, so for me, in terms of a superpower, it's both something we have energetically, but it's also coming back to our gifts and our skills that we had as children. So I have a lovely exercise that I tend to do with my clients as well, which hopefully we can cover tonight as well. But for me, it's about identifying what's really special about you. And that's very important. So you have your niche, which is what you do, what your speciality is. Then you define that. And then you also need to define what you're all about and what you really add in terms of value to that, so you stand out from other people in the market. Because we have to remember, if we want to make money, then we have to look at the market we're in and then see who are the other players, our competitors, and we have to identify what's special about us that's true to us, but at the same time let us stand out in a positive way to our competitors. And also we have to fit into what the market needs are. And I loved how Ross was talking about, obviously, that he's just following his heart and presenting what he is to the world. But he also said he has found where this aligns with his customers, i.e., especially in the nursing homes. So you can now see him saying, which I think is wonderful, he's playing what they love playing too. And thankfully that fits with him as well. Sometimes we have to adapt a little bit there. But it's really important that we find what's most special about us and then align that with the customers and what there is a market for. That makes us different as well, if that makes sense. So there's a bit of business in this, along with who am I as a wonderful person that came into this world. And with that, I will just touch on limiting beliefs as well. And just to say, yes, we, even if, of course, there's some physical limitation, most people in business, when they start a business, many people have limiting mental beliefs, limiting beliefs, and those are so important. And Ross was talking about, you got to believe in yourself, and that is so true. I have been on a self-development journey for 7 years because I didn't have self-worth, and you need self-worth for being in business. So I've actually had coaching in this, and it's a wonderful place when you get to a place where you love yourself and you have belief in yourself, and that is what you need in business.
Right. So you mentioned that there's an activity that you often take some of your clients through about tapping into what is their superpower.
Yes.
Would Ross, would you be willing for Kristine to take you through that activity?
Yeah, okay.
Wonderful, thank you.
We can watch it live in action.
Fantastic. So this is my workshop for unique value proposition and niche, where I do an exercise that you can do for yourself as well. And it's really about rediscovering our true gifts and superpower. And how it works is that the participants, in this case, Ross, I'm asking you to go really quickly. I only want to hear your first associations that comes to mind when I ask the question. This is because we tap into our more creative brain, our more emotional brain, and that often has the spontaneous answers that are the truth before we start overthinking it. And so I'm just looking for the 1 or 2 or 3 words that comes to mind, if that makes sense.
Yep.
Is that okay, Russ?
Yeah, it's fine.
Excellent. So the first question I tend to ask is this: what were your natural gifts as a child? What did you love doing that you could do for hours?
Music, and I think reading, those 2 areas here.
Yeah. Great. And question 2, what are the benefits of those gifts, skills, or passions that you had? You said music and reading. So for example, it allows you to be really creative. It brings out you enjoy for building something or problem solving. You might really love team playing, conceptualizing, connecting, supporting, nurturing. So what are the benefits of your gifts from your perspective, Ross?
I think entertaining other people or bringing pleasure to people. I get a real buzz out of that when people really enjoy the music I was playing.
Yeah.
And the reading was more about just my own. I'm just fascinated to learn, about people and places. And I don't read. Which one is? I don't read fiction. I read non-fiction stuff.
Yeah. And that's wonderful. I'm already writing down some words, but I'm going to ask you before I might mention this, but I'm already hearing things like, in terms of you learning and loving to pleasure other people in terms of entertainment. So question number 3, what would you say is your personal energetic vibration? So is it about passion, curiosity, perhaps, knowledge, calmness, leadership? What would you say are your sort of special, unique sort of personality signatures, your vibration?
Well, I'd say calmness would be one, and just wanting to serve other people, I suppose. Serve people. Even in the studio, like that old phrase of customer service. It's you're serving the customer. You're giving the customer what they want. That's a bit of a hackney phrase, but customer service, serving the customer, giving them what they want, is really boiled down in business to what you're there for.
So wonderful. So some of the words I'm hearing, so please correct me if I'm wrong, I'm hearing that you're really curious, that you have a very curious mind. I'm hearing that you love connection and engagement. I'm hearing that you're very open-minded and want to hear from others. Would that be correct?
Oh, definitely, yeah. I'm always fascinated to learn about other people and where they come from, the sort of life they live, why they live there, or how can they live in those sort of, even back in history, how people lived in the 16th century fascinates me, how they lived at that time. And
so it sounds to me,
there.
Yes, I'm hearing that some of your superpower is actually about how you actually have an openness and curiosity for life and for people and for connecting with them and getting them to feel better about themselves.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that would sum it up very well. Yeah.
And how does that fit with music? Because there's a direct connection here, I think.
Say again, sorry.
So there's, for me, that sounds like there's a direct connection with those parts of you that connects directly to music.
Oh, definitely, yeah, definitely. Because music is very powerful. It really touches people. It can really move people anywhere, whether even in the aged care setting. You don't know how much you lift their spirits. When you go and play for them, and they're sitting there and they're waving their hands around like they're conducting, or they're playing the piano, or they're singing along, and brings back a lot of memories for them. So you don't know what effect you had on them. So, but not only in the aged care, just music in any setting or format, people love music.
So with all this in mind, my last question is this: how are you using these superpowers, all these valuable things that you add to people's life, which is actually emotional value adds? How are you using these superpowers in your business now? Well,
it causes my focus to be on when I'm recording someone. I'm there to give them what they want. If they've written a song, well, I find out, ask them, how does this sound? Do you want like this? Do you want like that? And sometimes people will ask you to do things you don't agree with, but you have to do it. That's what they want. It's like the old saying, the customer's always right. Sort of thing, but it's a bit of a hackneyed old phrase, but it's really about service. You give the person what they want, and so that drives me in that regard. And the same with like playing the piano when I'm out entertaining people, is thinking, well, what do these people want here? Even if it's playing in a restaurant, say you're just playing background music in a restaurant, you think, okay, well, what's going to work here? What do people want when they're eating their meal? They don't want you bashing out some rock and roll. They want some music that creates an atmosphere for their meal.
So what's really interesting here, and this comes back to when we want to stand out in terms of in our market and with competitors, there is obviously on a functional level, we are problem solving for them. We're helping them solve a problem, and that's important, and that's on a functional level. But very importantly, having spent a long time in human behavioral science, we as humans, we forget what you will say and we forget what you do, but we never forget how others make us feel. So the real superpower is often in how we emotionally are able to make our clients feel, our customers feel. And what I'm hearing from Ross just talking, I can hear because of who he is and his superpowers, that he's leaving his clients, his customers feeling valued, being seen, being connected with, being, serviced and cared for.
Yeah, I think that when you do a job for people, when they go away, the two biggest things they remember is that, yes, he did a good job and he was a good bloke.
Yeah, and it's a good bloke part that comes in terms of the interaction we have with each other, whether it's online or in person. There is an exchange that's energetic and it's emotional. And it's a really important part of recognizing what we add to people's life on top of our skills, because that's where our uniqueness starts to stand out and how we can engage more. And people love to feel good. So the more we can help people feel good in our presence, whether that's online or in person, the more we will stand out.
But they like to feel that you enjoyed working for them, or that you did your best for them, in the job. Even if you didn't agree with what they want, you still give them what they want, and they like to feel that you enjoyed working with them. You did your best for them, and all that makes them feel good, and that makes them feel they want to come back.
Yeah, most people like to be heard, seen, respected, and acknowledged.
That's a really good activity, Kristine, and I'm going to go online when this webinar goes online, and I'm going to do that activity for myself, because that's a really good exercise that you've taken Ross through. And I'm thinking that it's a good activity for many reasons, but the two main ones I can think of is that, one, it helps the business owner to figure out what it is that they can offer as part of their business and how they can value add to their business. But it also, linking it can also help them to develop their pitch for what it is that they offer and how they offer it. So what would you say are some of the elements that people need to make sure that they include in their pitch about their business?
Okay, fantastic. Great question. So the pitch is often 30 minutes or 1 minute, but sometimes you get to have 5 minutes. So you've got to have different levels of pitches in terms of how much details can you add to it. But the really important part you want to put in your pitch is obviously introduce yourself, what you do, your niche, so your speciality. But then what are they going to gain from you, both functionally, how you're going to help them solve a problem, and emotionally, how you're going to help them achieve something, whether it's a dream or it's transformation. So understanding their emotional needs, your customer's emotional need, and adding that to the emotional payoff. So you have your functional product that you offer and the benefits of that, and then your emotional payoff of that. And that's what you want to include as in a short pitch as possible. So you touch on both.
Right, okay. But Ross, do you have a pitch for your business, Ross, at all?
Well, these days I just mainly talk about my experience and what I've achieved. That's the first step, I suppose. People can say, well, you must be pretty good at what you do for being around that long. I've won various awards and things. So, but then I just try and talk to the person and try and find out, what they want in the music of the song. That if they've written a song and they want me to record it for them, how they want it done, what kind of style of music. And in music, people can describe things, use a word, but there are all different words that people use that don't really make any sense. They say, oh, it sounds a bit fuzzy, or I want it a bit more jangly, or the song is kind of bumpy. Can you make it smooth and things like that? Well, they're just words. They're starting to define words to try what they're trying to say about music, you know. And quite a few people I work with, sometimes they're songwriters or they're lyricists. I just finished work with a lady. She's a lyricist. She writes poems and novels, plays, and she knows very little about music. You know, she's a word person, an author. So with her, I had to talk about music styles and, you know, what she would have an example. Well, what about, can we do it like this or do it like that person? And so it starts to give me an idea of how she's hearing the sound or how she wants it. And it's just a matter of coming up with something in the end that she likes. And it's a bit of a process of negotiation and language, but so it's just about focusing on the person and trying to find out what they're looking for or the expectation is, and working along that line, you know.
How does your business come to you? Is it word of mouth or through marketing? How does your business come to you mostly?
Well, the recording work at the moment is mainly just word of mouth or through the net. I've had some people, even that I recorded back in Sydney back in the 90s and 80s, to track me down on the web and ask me to do some recording for them. And so that's one aspect of it. The other aspect of it is that I'm putting together my own music to put up on the web next year. So that's the other aspect of what I do, and trying to get some product up there on Spotify and all those sort of places. And also with my songwriting, once I've got the songs finished, I've got a bunch of 3 songs I'm working on. I would then get on the web and just do a lot of research. These songs are country songs, so I do a lot of research on the web about music publishing in the American country scene, and contacting songwriter organisations and watching as many tutorials as I can on YouTube, you know, about songwriting or about publishing, and then trying to make so I've got a little bit of a feel of what the scene's like over there and who's who and everything. And then just a matter of ringing up or emailing publishers and see, you know, if you strike a bit of success somewhere.
What I found interesting about this discussion today, Ross, and about you in particular, is barely any of today's discussion have we discussed blindness and what barrier it is to you finding or knowing your niche in business. And that sounds like, because that was an early decision on your part early in your career, to not make it an issue and for it to not be a barrier. Would that be fair to say?
Definitely, yeah. I would just think, well, I've got to find a solution to this problem somewhere. You know, I can't do so and so. So how can I get around it? I can get someone to help me, get someone to do some reading for me onto a magazine. You know, get friends to do so and so or family to do so and so, and then looked at with the equipment about, you know, putting braille marks on the equipment. And it's always like, well, how can we get around this? You know, there's got to be a solution to the problems. I've always been like that, and I've never wanted to be stopped, you know, or put off, or sometimes you get delayed and you get disappointments, of course. That always happens, but I always kind of thought, well, I've got to get around this, you know, and keep going.
We're just about to hand over questions to our audience, but before we do that, I just wanted to ask each of you another question. Back to you, Kristine. I wanted to talk a little bit more about that issue of limiting beliefs, because it is something that in the blindness community, many of us will encounter the barrier of how people will perceive what we can do. But I really love what you said about everybody faces limiting beliefs, whether it's mental or physical. Can you just talk a little bit more about how you work with your clients or your customers to try and challenge their limiting beliefs?
First, yes, I can. First of all, I have to say I had to get help myself in this area. So sometimes it's good, if you can afford it, to have a coach who is specialized in this. And there are some fantastic people out there who are great at rewiring the way you think about yourself, and they can go back to the old patterns, which usually stems from childhood. So we're most impressionable from the age of 0 to 7. So this is where often we create these limiting beliefs that we then play out unconsciously in our business and in our life. And especially when you start your business, they're going to come to the fore, because if you have self-worth issues or don't believe in yourself, of course, you're going to keep bringing this in to try and heal it, which is what our soul does for us. But that will come up in business, because you're going to face a lot of challenges building a business. It's a marathon. It's usually not a race. And it has lots of different curves and journeys to it, ups and downs, and that's part of it. And I love how Ross talked about not just being adaptable, but also very resilient. And that is a really important thing as well, to keep going when it gets tough, and it will get tough sometimes. Ups and downs happen. And so for that, when I work with clients, as much as it's important that we can identify what they're all about in terms of their product, their service, and what's special about them and unique compared to their competitors, that's important in the market and fits with their customer needs. If we don't have those self-beliefs in place where we trust ourselves and our intuition, it's easy to make decisions out of fear rather than following your heart, like Ross has been doing. We start questioning the things we really dream of when fear steps in, like we don't have enough money, we're not getting clients in, we're getting rejection. And so it's very important that we don't internalize those situations and experiences. And if we have scars from childhood, then we are going to internalize it until we're able to see those patterns and get them healed. So as much as I work with clients, sometimes I will suggest that they also get outside help beyond me, because it will impact their business. So we can do all the customer strategy in the world, but if there are some significant limiting beliefs, then we need to work with them. But I think this exercise I did offer that we went through, I think is a wonderful exercise for remembering what's special about you. That has nothing to do with what you have studied or not studied, or how you trained. It's about who you are as a person, and everyone has a special gift in this world.
That's a lovely note to end it on. I'll save my question that I had for you, Ross, because I want to stick to time, and we need to hear from our audience with any of their questions. So I'll put my last question to you on hold. And Christina, do we have any questions from our audience?
Yes, we do. So we'll just start with Debbie. Debbie, your question, please.
Hello, Kristine, everybody. It's been a wonderful session. Sort of a question. I love that coaching. I just want to know, that could be something really helpful to work out the best direction to go in at the moment for myself, the coaching. Is there something you can offer, Christina, or like, I know you do coaching, but would I be able to get in touch with you somehow? Because
of course.
Yeah, because one of my thing, if I may just say briefly, when I was thinking about what you were saying to Ross, and the first thing that came to me is my imagination. I've got this imagination, and I come up with these ideas that are just, I don't believe they're out of this world, but they're things that people just don't think of. And I'd like to really utilise that and create something from that using my imagination. Yeah.
Sounds wonderful.
Would help a lot of people. I've even got a pitch for it, but I won't sort of go into that now and take in the question time. But I'd like to, who could I get in touch with so I could explore this further and add value to what I am doing and what I could achieve?
Maybe Christina can help in terms of putting Debbie in touch with me after the session.
Yes. So all of our guest speakers that we've had throughout the whole series, their links are posted on the BCA website. But Debbie, I can also send you directly an email to introduce you and Kristine together if you'd like.
Yep. Thank you so much.
No worries.
Look forward to it.
Our next question is from Tim.
Hi, everyone. Hi, Christina. Hi, Kristine. Hi, Ross. I got a couple of, I got a comment and a question, right? Ross and I have worked together, and I was super impressed. We run the peer music group at BCA, and we just recorded the song that Ross produced for us. And we all record differently in our group. So some are just recording straight into iPads or on voice recorders, and some are using recording software. But Ross got it all together and made it sound fantastic, which is totally hats off to him. But myself personally, as I wind down my working life, I'm a musician as well, and I want to work as a musician. And I realised that you can't sing and play guitar for 38 hours a week and make enough money to do that, to feed your family. So Ross, is it super important to have like a few tricks in your bag? Like if one day you might be doing a gig, another day you might be doing something else. Has that been something that's been really important for you to get through all these years successfully?
Yeah, definitely in music being versatile, like you can do some solo gigs, like you sing, do you, as well as play?
I do, yeah. You haven't heard it yet, and you're not likely to, but I do.
You could look at some solo gigs, or you could look at forming a duo with someone maybe who's like a strong singer, and you're like the backing for them. You could even get yourself some gigs in some bands. So a lot of musos have got 2 or 3 different gigs going on at once. Like I'm in areas for gigs, I mean. And the other things, you can earn a bit of money from, if you want to do aged care places, if you got to learn the right songs, and if you can sing, play guitar, they do pay you a bit of money. That sort of varies, maybe $50 for the hour or $100 for the hour, and so you can have different sources of income like that. So you might do some gigs, or you might join a local band or a trio or something, and just look at different music styles. So the band might be like a little folk music band or something, or whether you like playing folk, or a duo might be more a pop kind of a thing. So you certainly can find different sources of income and generate a bit of money for yourself that way. Yeah.
So it would be. Is it hard to just be a musician? I mean, can you do it, or do you need to have other things going on as well, like doing a bit of recording or a little bit of event organising or something like that?
Well, I suppose if you're looking, it depends how much money you need a week, to look after your family.
Yeah. I want to try and make it pretty. Try and make it pretty. By the time I get to it, I'm not going to have to make it a very manageable thing, I think. So we'll see. But no, thanks, Ross. I appreciate it. It's a good answer. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Tim. So we have had a few questions come through the inbox. So if you do have a question, you can send it to bca@bca.org.au. And one of the questions is for Kristine. How much time should we put into developing a value proposition?
Well, personally, I think it's one of the most important things you can do in your business. And I also think you start out in one place and then you keep evolving it. It's not a static thing per se, but we want to at least sort of identify first, as much as we can, depending on where we're business, what do we think it is, get some insights from our potential customers, i.e. having interviews with them and talk to them, identify it, and then start refining it from there on. So I suggest with strategy, we keep working on it in our business on a weekly or fortnightly, keep doing that, and like an hour or two, set it aside where you spend time thinking about your strategy, how you're going to win in business. But upfront, it depends on where you're at and how clear you are on your value proposition and what you have to add and what you want to offer and how much you know about your market and competitors. So it's hard to give an exact time, but it does require some thinking, and it's not something that just happens like that in 1 second.
So it sounds like it's very much an ongoing process. It shouldn't be something that you begin, you finish it, it's done, put it in the drawer.
You want to have some. Revisiting. So you do want to have something that sort of feels quite good to you, of course. And then from there on, keep revisiting in your business, however often you feel it, just to have check in. Is the market changing? Because we need to change with the market and the customers too. And the more you build your business, the more you will learn from your clients and customers. And like Ross was saying, he's adapting it to his customers as well. And we should be doing that as well within what's true to ourselves.
Because it sounds like Ross is very clear about who his customers are, that he has literally, but also in his own way that he thinks about his customers, he has a relationship with them. He knows who they are. They're people that like Ross McGregor, that like Ross McGregor's style. And he has a real comfort level with who his audience is. Do you get that impression too, Kristine?
Absolutely, but also, Ross, and please, obviously,
we'll talk about you not
feel free to comment. Yes, exactly. We'll comment, but it depends on where you're at in your business. So Ross, from my understanding, has been in business for a while. So there is some of, as you get to know your clients better and your customers better, and you find yourself a bit more, what do you love doing within your business, and what seems to sell better versus some of your ideas that you love but may not sell as much. So for me, and Ross, feel free to jump in, there's a journey here as well, and you get to know your clients better over time.
Yeah, well, definitely. I'm talking about 50 years of experience, in the music business. So, but one thing you were saying there, I just want to touch on. You were saying the person sitting down and thinking through their business plan or their project. I'm a big believer in that, and I'm a big believer in what people call meditation, is where you just sit quietly, and whether you use a meditative technique, there's various ones around you can learn, but even just sitting quietly and just relaxing your mind and just thinking, okay, well, now I've got this business thing here now. What can I do here, or what? And you'll find, like after a while, you'll find that ideas just come to you, especially if you can still your mind and just relax. And ideas, and you think, you write it. You've got to have something to write it down with straight away, like a braille machine or paper or whatever you're using. Yeah. And I'm a big believer in that. That ideas will come from within you if you just relax and allow. You've got to allow space for the ideas to come. You've got to, while your mind's thinking and going, well, it's blocking anything coming through. But
I totally resonate with this. So I meditate as well, and what I think I'm hearing you saying is, whether you're meditating like fully meditation, or at least what we're saying is step away from the doing and have time to yourself where you can just let the ideas flow. Yeah. And then for me, obviously being a business person, so I will then say at some point you also want to just make sure that it aligns with your customers and the market and everything else.
Yeah. There are different types of meditation. There's one which is pure relaxation. There's also meditation for creativity, and that is where you don't stop your mind or still your mind like you're doing relaxation. You allow your mind just to relax, but you're actually wanting little ideas and thoughts to come to you. So you're using it as a creative process, and that can be a form of meditation. Yeah. And then another form another form of meditation is to use to try and get to sleep. That's a different thing again, but you can have if you're in a listening space and a very relaxed space, you can say, right, let my mind flow here, let ideas run, and I want ideas to come.
Lovely, love it.
Yeah, I've really gained from this conversation. This is fabulous. Kristine, do we have any other questions?
Yes, so we have a couple of questions from Peter. So Peter's, it's kind of a comment as well. He's just saying that the role of a startup help organization is very important. He personally has applied to be part of 3 of these and has finally gotten involved with a disability specific one, which I think is fantastic. And there's a huge amount of competition. And he says that it would be great to have a list of these for anyone wanting to start their own business. I think that would be a very long list. Kristine, do you have any suggestions in regards to how to pick a startup support organization?
Not really. Sorry. I don't have an answer to that per se, but it is good to have support. So depending on which industry you're in, depending on who you feel can help you the most, I guess you've got to go with that. But sorry, I don't have an answer there.
That's all right. I will just point you, Peter, to Leah, who was our business owner in our last webinar, and she did mention that there are some really great Facebook small business groups, and they might be a really good place to start to get that sort of information.
And also joining networking groups. You'll find support in there as well, but you do want to, obviously, depending on what type of support you're looking for. And I think New South Wales, and I'm assuming the other state, also have free support to small businesses. It's Business Connect, it's called, in New South Wales. And
Yes.
you get like 3 sessions a year.
And
Robyn, we're on 5 minutes now.
oh, thank you. I'm enjoying this conversation. I forgot to check time. Thank you so much, Tim. Lovely. All right. Look, thank you, everybody, for your questions. Fabulous questions. I hope you've gained a lot from today's webinar. Like I said earlier, I'm going to go online and listen to it again to take myself through that activity that that Kristine took Ross through. But I'd just like to say thank you very much, Ross McGregor. Thank you so much for your contribution today and your candor and your openness about your business and how you've managed it over the last 50 years. So thank you so much for your time today. And
thank you.
And Kristine Bell from SparkIt Insights Strategy, thank you so much. You've given BCA 2 webinars worth of your wisdom, and I really thank you greatly for that, and looking forward to watching you again online later next week. Thank you so much for your time today.
Well, thank you for having me. I've truly enjoyed it, and I hope I've added some value at least.
I think you have. Thank you so much. Back to you, Deb.
Thank you, and a very warm thank you to Ross, Kristine and Robyn, and to everyone who has contributed to the success of the entire Entrepreneurial Mindset webinar, and a particular special thank you to Christina. Thank you to everyone for joining us this evening and engaging in the conversation. We have the special offer that I mentioned earlier from Bill Lang, Director of Small Business Australia, of a free 12-month subscription to Business Advance Online for business owners who are blind or vision impaired, allowing unlimited access to an online community for networking and resources, webinars, advice and support, and it's valued at $500. So attendees at this evening's webinar can contact us at Blind Citizens Australia at bca.org.au to take advantage of this fantastic offer. Just a final reminder that all the information and resources are available at eyetothefuture.com.au, including a podcast series with many more successful business owners who have lived experience to inspire and motivate you on your business ownership journey. Thank you very much, everyone. Happy festivities to you and your loved ones, and we look forward to connecting with you in 2023, doing perhaps another hopefully very engaging and creative project. All the very best. Thank you.
Thank you.